be in Bloomington, Illinois tomorrow. Check with the Keller Williams in that area and see where I'm going to be. I'm heading to the airport after the webinar today. So if you can make it, make sure you go up and introduce yourself. Let me know you're on the webinar today.
Cool. Well, you have to say hey to my uncle up there while you're, he's working out of Bloomington for the State Farm office up there. Anyway, okay, guys, well, we are ready to get started. This is the next installment of the Maximum Performance webinar series presented by the Maximum Acceleration Coaching Company. My name is Eric Janesco. I'm the head coach and CEO of Maximum Acceleration. And we started this webinar series, I guess, about 8 months ago, early October of last year. We started this program with the intent of bringing together a community of learning, an opportunity to share some time and energy with each other to perfect our craft and refine our practices. And we'll focus on timely issues. We do it generally as a weekly series. We are going to have a couple of break weeks coming up here in the next couple of weeks, just some travel schedules and events that are coming up, which we'll tell you a little bit more in the program. But today's program is really going to be focused on one primary topic, which is how do we power up our purchase business. And today, as our presenters, we have two of the top realtors in the country who also I have the great privilege and honor of calling friends and colleagues in our coaching staff as well. Mr. Brad Korn from Kansas City area, as he's already alerted you to, is a top 100 realtor, has been producing well over 100 transactions a year for the better part of the last 15 years. I had the great privilege and honor of meeting Brad back in 2006 or 2007 when he joined our Maximum Acceleration coaching team. He is also a certified coach for the Keller Williams MAPS Institute, as well as for John Maxwell's inaugural coaching group program. And still today is one of the top producing real estate agents in the country. Also is owner of the CyberStars program for realtors. Coach Linda Schneider is a relatively new addition to the Maximum Acceleration coaching family, but no stranger to coaching. Has been a top real estate agent and coach for many, many years. Was involved in curriculum design and development work for the Linda and I just completely blanked out on the company that you used to work for.
Lonely, Franklin Covey, UNDP.
Yes, and has literally coached thousands of realtors and loan officers over her career and is one of our top coaches, fairly new to the team. But also is a top-notch real estate agent in the hot market of San Diego, California, and so he's doing an awesome job keeping up with the craziness of life down there in San Diego and the 20% month-over-month real estate appreciation that you guys are experiencing. So let me hit the highlights of what we've covered in the previous event today, and then I'm going to let Brad and Linda kind of take over and run the majority of today's program. But remember last time when we talked about what does it really take to get two people working together in true concert or partnership? You know, we talked about the horsepower analogy and how two horses hitched together can pull roughly 8 times the results of one pulling by himself, or over 104,000 pounds of pull. Now, the reality for that is when we try and create partnerships with real estate agents, often we go about it from a transactional mindset first, which is not a bad thing, but you know, if we think about what the dynamic of that relationship is, let's say you've got a realtor who's generating about 15 leads a month on his own and a loan officer who's generating about 15 leads a month on his own. You swap all of those leads, that's about 30 leads. But when you really get two working together hand in hand, in concert, focused on the same goal, if we could generate the same kind of horsepower results that we could talk about with the 8 times results, we could be talking about leveraging each other's strengths and generating 120 leads a month. Now, right now, you may not be thinking that's even remotely possible, but if it was, what would it look like? Well, one of the key elements of why is it the two horses are more or less identically the same, that by themselves could only pull 12,000 pounds, but two together can pull over 108,000 pounds, how is it that those two horses are able to get such a significant result? Well, the reality is because of some mechanics and physics and a little simple machine called the lever. So here's the thing. If the tool's not applied effectively, you don't get good results. You know, there's 2 basic points to a lever, right? You got a bar and a pivot point. That pivot point's right in the middle. If I push down with 100 pounds of force on one side, I only get 100 pounds of lift on the other. It's not doing me much good, is it? But the cool thing is, if I shift that thing just a few feet to one side, all of a sudden the same 100 pounds of force on one side gives me over 1,000 pounds of lift on the other. just because of the simple leverage that's created. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to create that kind of leverage with your business development partners, with your real estate agents, and how to transform that relationship from one of being a vendor or service provider on a transactional basis to being one of a true business development partner working in concert to focus on the same goal, leveraging each other's strengths and talents and abilities to combat the challenges of the market. So one of the first challenges that we're going to focus on today is we're going to get right into the meat of everything, which is the issue of realtor overwhelm. You know, Brad, I think you brought up this topic a couple of weeks ago when we were planning for the event the first time around, and we touched on it just briefly in the session that you guys did for us a couple of weeks ago, the first round of this Realtor Roundup, which is this whole concept in a really hot market like we're in right now, where it just seems like our buyers are everywhere and flooding your offices. How do you stay on top of good follow-up and good flow and good approach? And Linda, I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on this conversation to begin with, and help us understand what you're helping agents do in the current market to be able to stay on top of and make sure they're not just losing leads out the bottom of the funnel without catching them properly.
Yeah, you know, and in our market in particular in San Diego, we have so many people who want to buy houses, and they come in and they start kind of exploring the market, and in other markets they might be great leads, but here, in fact, they might not be well-qualified leads at all just because the prices are so high. And so there's the additional challenge not only of losing leads, but of sorting through those leads and making sure that you're not losing good leads and that you're not wasting time on bad leads. So as lenders talking to realtors, one of the things that I think that your opportunity is to help realtors become better at qualifying. And I know that might sound silly, that you would think that realtors, well, the first thing they would do is start qualifying, but that's not what they do. They start trying to get people in the car. They start trying to get people into deals, and they end up spinning their wheels, spending too much time. And so helping them understand a few qualifying questions, qualifying parameters, and using that as a conversation leader, as a method of creating that two-horse pulling together kind of partnership. That's one thing you can do with them. Brad, how would you handle that?
Yeah, and guys, remember, I think that's great what Linda just said. Remember, this call is for you guys to take this information back to your realtors and start having these types of conversations with them. Let them know that you just hooked up with two of the top realtors and spent the afternoon with us really learning the things that are working, and you want to share what you just found out with them. So I'm going to give you easy stuff, things you can remember to take back and actually share with these people. I will tell you, through research, everything I do on my real estate team, I will tell you that my real estate team is like a lab. Everything I coach people on and the things I teach and train on, I've implemented in my team, figured out what roadblocks they're going to hit, and got them through. The reason I set you up for all that is because a lot of stuff that I say sounds real simple, but I'm telling you it works 100 times a year every year. Well, more than that. We close 100 deals. It works 125 to 150 times every single year. So I'm going to give you a real simple one to start out. To convert more leads, your realtors need to return those calls within 3 to 5 minutes. It is not tell them. Say, you're here in 10, you're here in same afternoon, you're here within a few hours, it's all okay. Tell them it's not okay. The conversion rate, and I'm sure Linda has probably figured this out too, the conversion rate goes up almost 75% by returning that call within less than 3 minutes. If you can shoot for 5 minutes, that was always our goal. I just wanted the team to return the call within 5 minutes. Now, the reality is we don't get every call returned within 5 minutes, so we're just going to have a 35% conversion rate on the ones we can't get to when we're sitting in an appointment or whatever. But here's what I would share with you. If you want to quit losing leads, return every single lead you possibly can in less than 3 minutes. Return, like when the phone rings, now believe me on this, this is real. When the phone rings, realtors glance at it. If they don't know who it is and they're not expecting the call and they're in the middle of cleaning up a file, and Linda, you back me up on this too, if you see it, if they're cleaning up a file or checking their emails and they look and they're, oh, I'm not expecting that person, they don't answer the phone. Pick up the dang handset and answer the phone. So I will tell you from personal experience, when I have a VoIP system, we have phones at home that are ringing the office line. And I got to be careful here, too. I don't want your business to run your life, okay? But when you love what you do, it really is never work. And I don't answer the phone when I'm in the middle of family time. If I'm sitting down watching a movie with my family, I won't answer the office phone. But if I'm sitting here checking email at 9 o'clock at night and my Korn team line rings, I answer the phone. And here's what I'll tell you. Every time I did not want to answer the phone, the initial reaction, just like everybody else, is to not pick it up. And then I hear my little voice in my head, Coach Korn, saying, you tell people to answer the phone. And every time I've answered the phone, I have converted those leads into business that I would have let slip by. They probably wouldn't have left a message. I mean, Linda, would you agree that that's probably the biggest thing, is just returning calls in 5 minutes and actually answering the dang phone when it's ringing?
Yeah, and I think that there's a tendency to leave voicemail messages for our callers coming in to say, oh, I'll get back to you within 2 hours. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I don't think that's a good voicemail to leave on your own voicemail message system. I think that the message that you should be giving people is, I will try to get back with you within the next few minutes. And make that a commitment, such a strong commitment that you're willing to record that on your answering message. So if somebody does get your message machine, they feel that sense of urgency right away. You know, I don't like getting message machines that say, oh, you've reached my voicemail, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Well, what does as soon as I can mean? I want it to mean right now. If I have some sense that you take this call seriously, that you take my message seriously, I might be more tempted to leave a message. But Brad, I think you're right. I think a lot of us as realtors, we get so busy that we just don't have time. We're afraid it's going to be somebody that's going to drag our attention away from the thing we're doing right now. You know, and as lenders, there might be a way that you can sit down and have a conversation with your realtor partner about this. They might not be aware of it. Chances are they are aware, Brad, that they do need to answer those calls within a short amount of time. I know it's hammered on us throughout the industry. Return those calls as quickly as you can. It still doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. And you as a lender, if you are really aware of that yourself, you can take the lead in your relationship with your realtor partners and have conversations about why those calls aren't getting returned and how the agent can turn that around and do more to return those calls.
Well, and Mark brought up a good question here, and I know we got a lot of information to share with you guys, so we won't stick on, we'll try not to stick on one topic too long, but Mark asked about, what about the 800 number call capture system? This is one of the things, I think we might cover this in another slide, or I'll just cover it now and then we can pass on it when it comes up. But when I'm talking about calling people back in 3 to 5 minutes or less, our conversion rate went from 3% conversion. So of all the people that called through our 800 number system, I'll tell you what it is in a minute, but when a call came in or a lead capture came in and we returned those calls at our normal pace, we converted about 3% into name, address, phone number. When we started calling them back in 5 minutes or less and used some specific scripts, and I'll share one of those scripts with you guys today after I share an idea of taking this process right here, the 3 to 5 minute callback, and helping your realtors convert more business and locking up the deal for yourself. But what we did was we converted 15% more leads into address and phone number just simply by calling back in 3 to 5 minutes, and then we called them 3 times a day for 3 days straight. That's another thing I'll talk about probably in a little bit. But the 800 number system is a service where you can make a recording about a listing, put a rider on the realtor's signs, and it says, here's the big thing, on the rider, you want the 800 number as big as possible. Do not use the stock riders that these companies send out because they've got their logo real big and 24-hour recorded message real big, and you can't see the 800 number from the street. I always custom order my riders to make the 800 number 2/3 of the rider, and then at the top I put free in all caps for free recorded message. So there's two key things on this rider. It says free recorded message and then a 1-800 number and like a 3-digit, 4-digit, 5-digit code, whatever the service is. The service itself can run anywhere around 40 to 50 bucks. I use automaticleads.com. I don't get paid anything for promoting them, but I've used them for over 10 years. And there's specific reasons why that I can answer more specific questions on that. But automaticleads.com, we get this 800 number. You don't want an 866 number. You guys could go out and put these riders up on realtors' signs and offer them 24/7 advertising on their property. Now, what I will tell you, though, is if you want to be a killer mortgage professional and you want to lock up every realtor's business, you get rung at the same time they do. When somebody calls that 800 number, you get paged their telephone number instantly. Be that person that calls back in 3 to 5 minutes or less, because your realtor's not going to do it most of the time. And if you do it, and you can do it, and you convert the lead and then give it back to the realtor, they like you're bringing them business, but it's off of their listing, and you're locking it up. I mean, I coach people on that system all the time.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I used that system also for many years as a realtor, and you know, I got kind of out of that habit, but I just, you know, you just reminded me to get back to that, Brad, because that is such a valuable system. It doesn't matter that we've got all these QR codes. It doesn't matter that, you know, there's flyers in the flyer box. There's something magic about that 1-800 number, free recorded message, and that's such an easy way for you to provide value to your agents. And it's a way for you to step in and capture that business. You know,
yeah, if you guys drive around. Yeah, if you drive around town and look at how many signs in those yards have an 800 number rider on it, it's only 1 to 2 realtors in your marketplace. Do you realize that every other sign in every single yard could have your 800 number on it? I mean, you might spend $200 a month, but I'm telling you guys, that is a gold mine right there.
Yeah, you know, Brad, this is the key takeaway of this webinar. You are just reminding me how valuable that was when I was doing it, how big of a deal it was, and how easy it was to capture leads that way.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, something I've heard both of you guys say is, you know, I mean, think about the psychology of how people shop for property, okay? If they're not going on the Internet, if they're not going on the Homes magazine, they're out driving around looking for property. When they see a house that they like, if they see a sign in the yard, are they going to get up out of their car and go walk over with their cell phone and snap a shot of a QR code? Are they going to get up and walk out of their car and go grab one of the listing flyers? Or are they going to go and just dial an 800 number? And if you got 2 or 3 or 4 houses on the block, you know, they're going to go to the one that's the phone number.
And I will say, Eric,
well, be careful.
It's okay to have those flyers in that flyer box, because the recorded message, if you're going to use the recorded messages, Brad, that I think you are, those are different. They're not going to repeat what's on the flyer. The flyer is just basic information, but that recorded message is going to be a persuasive commercial.
Well, and here's the thing. They will get out of their car and go get the flyer. People love them. But the phone at the realtor's office is not ringing. You get about 2 calls at the office off of 200 flyers. The only thing I would say, Linda, if you are going to do the flyer box, be careful. You got to test it. You have your realtor test it, you test it, because if you put a flyer out front and you give them information, they will get out of the car and go get the flyer, but then they might not call the 800 number, and that's going to caller ID capture their number to you instantly. See, if you can call them back while they're sitting in front of the house, and here's the magic phrase, hey, this is a quick courtesy call. This is Joseph Parker. He's one of our lenders on the call today. This is Joseph. I'm one of the lenders working with the top realtor in town. Just want to make sure that recording answered all your questions. Now, see, you guys aren't real estate agents, so you can't talk about real estate. And they say, yeah, I wonder how much the house is. And you say, you know what, I'm working with the top realtor in town. Let me get you connected to him, and they can tell you all about the house. You're calling the realtor going, hey, I got a guy on the phone right now. He's sitting in front of your house on ABC Street, and he wants to know the price. Here he is. And you got their information as well. Guys, this is like a gold mine. And believe me, as a realtor, I do the flip side. I try to get realtors or lenders to co-op with me on these, and they won't call people back.
No.
So you guys are going to be different.
Just to realize, those of you on the call, if you're intimidated by this and you're thinking, well, geez, I need 30 minutes of focus time to do a proper prequalification, we're not talking about doing a full prequal here. We're talking about a 3 to 5 minute soft connect call, get their information and find out what they're looking for in general and get them moving into the search process with the realtor as you start working them towards pre-approval. It's a connection opportunity, not necessarily a full loan app on the spot opportunity. So just take
Eric,
that 10 seconds to do it. Eventually, you will have the team that you can do that can be that reactive, that can be that person who's on the bat phone or on the hot seat, all the time to be able to do it. Eric,
let me throw in one thing. I'm glad you brought that up because here's what this is about. This is about getting an address and a phone number and then email. Don't get email first. It's about getting their contact information so that you can build a relationship and lock them up. So thank you for bringing that up, Eric.
Yeah. Now, by the way, what do you do with them after you snag them? One opportunity that we've all talked about, and I know, Brad, you're kind of an expert at, this is, by the way, a tool or resource that's available to anybody who's a participant with our live coaching program. They get access to a Platinum Pro marketing system. By the way, this webinar series is now sponsored by Mortgage Success Source, so just a quick shout out to them. If you're interested in finding out about a very quick, very easy, automated follow-up marketing system, we do have that available. Just go to MortgageSuccessSource.com. Sign up for the Platinum Marketing and take the free 14-day trial. You're welcome to get access to that information. All right, so moving on to the next topic. Kind of the fence sitters or missed opportunities is we've all talked to buyers. We tend to, and loan officers as well as real estate agents tend to have a tendency to focus on the immediate opportunity first. And we forget about the gold mine of opportunities, those incubation leads that we could work with and nurture over time. So the question then becomes, what do you do with the people who are hot to buy 6, 12 months, 3, 5 weeks ago, and all of a sudden they just disappear off the planet? What do you do to keep the buyers engaged and pull through to a successful purchase despite maybe some of the challenges in the market? And Linda, I'm going to have you take the lead on this one first because, you're dealing with this market where it's very easy for buyers to get discouraged and deflated by the fact that they've made, multiple offers on multiple properties and still have their offers refused, rejected, or not even responded to. How do you keep them engaged? What do you do to try and narrow that gap?
I'm going to put my realtor hat on here, and this happens to me constantly now. Often what's happening is I'm finding that buyers are getting themselves priced out of the market as the prices rise so steeply. I could start working with a buyer a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden the properties that they were looking at and they were thinking about buying and thinking about putting good offers in, maybe they put a few offers in kind of at price or slightly below price, and they lost them. So they're kind of building up that education to where they're going to start putting in effective offers over purchase price. But by the time they get there, they're finding that those prices have now risen beyond what they can afford. And so they're losing interest, they're losing hope, they're losing confidence. So that's at that level. But that's actually all throughout the whole buying spectrum at any price range, because everybody wants to buy the house that's $50,000 to $100,000 more than what they can afford. It seems to be always that way, no matter what price point somebody is at. And so what I found, the best way to keep them engaged, because they're going about their lives, they're thinking of things, they're dealing with issues, they're planning, they're processing. Maybe they're just moving to a new location. I've got buyers right now who've just moved here. We went out, we were excited to look at property, and I know that if I can't get them within that first blush of excitement, that their life is going to take over. They're going to be fully involved now in their jobs and in their new communities and making friends and so forth, and I'm going to lose their attention. So the best thing for me to do during that time is to put in place a regular series of contact points with them. So I don't want to bug them, but I want to at least call them twice a week. Just a quick call, even if it's just a voicemail. And I'm very friendly, positive on that. Plus, of course, I want to keep them engaged with any listings, so they're immediately on the automatic MLS system so that they can get new listings fed to them. Now, as lenders, you can participate in this process, too. If I'm already connected up with you as my lender partner, I would engage you to be a part of the follow-up with them at least once a week. to check in with them about maybe loan rates, because that's the other side of me. I don't do loan rates. I'm not the lender. But if my lender partner could just check in once a week, even just to leave a voicemail and say, hey, just wanted to let you know what rates are doing, you know, quick, maybe a 30-second message, maybe not even that long, just to give them another touch point. So anyway, that's how I follow up, and it's been pretty effective for me. Some of these people may not engage immediately, or they wanted to engage right away, but then they pull back, and it might be several months before they re-engage. But that doesn't mean they're gone. And I would rather work with them and work hard on them than forget them and try to get another new lead in the door. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, what I'm going to say is the buyer consultation. We have statistics that actually show that for every buyer that a realtor meets, and believe me, I'm going to turn this around and show you the benefit of how you can make this all work for you guys. But for 10 buyers that a realtor meets, if they don't get a buyer agency signed before they show them a property, out of 10, 4 of them will buy a property with that realtor. So for every 10 leads that they get called in to go show a property to, if they don't get a buyer agency signed, 4 will buy a house with them. So they're going to go out and show 10 people properties, throw them in their car, and 4 of them will buy. If they get a buyer agency signed before they go out and show them properties, 8 of those same 10 people will buy a property. So here's again where you can help your realtors. Just ask them up front. Say, hey, do you get buyer agency signed before you ever throw people in your car? Every single time. And you can share with them the statistic that, you know, I just heard on a great webinar with 2 top realtors that you can double your sales just by getting a buyer agency signed. So I'd like to help you with that if you're interested in doubling your business. Here's the other thing. When I coach loan officers and mortgage professionals, we want to give people so much information because we want their business. And what I teach you to do is twist it around and make them want the information that you want them to have. So I just did it to you right here where I said, hey, are you interested in doubling the amount of buyers? If you meet 10 buyers and you get 4 of them closed, are you interested in having 8 closed out of that same 10? And when that realtor says yes, all of a sudden they're listening to what you have to say next. Where before, if you just say, hey, I can show you how to get double the buyers, they're not even listening to you. They're checking email or doing whatever. So get them to engage with you. And then when they say yes, say it's the buyer agency that's the magic piece. I would like to work with you on a buyer consultation process where you and I come in and meet with the buyer and we explain the whole process from A to Z. Guys, this is another like absolute huge killer thing that maximum acceleration. We've been coaching our clients on this for a long time. Get in there and do a buyer consultation. Take the realtor. See, when the realtor's sitting there with you and the buyer, they're seeing your process, and they're seeing from A to Z how everything works. You get to explain the parts where the contract leaves your possession and you have no control, so that when you have bumps in the road, you can call the realtor and you can call the buyer both and say, hey, do you remember when we first met and I told you there was a part where we experienced some bumps in the road? Well, this is where we are. It's a part of the process. I'm in full control of it. It's going to be okay. And because you're telling them that in the buyer consultation. These things happen. Guys, that will eliminate your phone blowing up for at least 5 to 10 times a day, every day for 10 days. How much time did I just save you there by talking to these agents about having this consultation on the front end, and you're helping them convert these buyers into a buyer agency right there at the table. And see, again, like Eric said, this is not necessarily where you have to do the full-blown, you know, loan app and all that stuff. It's to get that connection with the buyer so that they are connected to you guys, and when they sign the buyer agency, they're yours because you and the realtor are working together.
You know, Brad, there's one problem that I notice too amongst the realtors that I work with, and that is the fear of even asking for the appointment. And I think that one of the things that we need to help ourselves and our realtor partners with is the confidence and the expectation that people should meet with us in person, that we are professionals. Too many of our realtors are still saying, oh gosh, I've got a buyer, I'm going to go put them in the car and show them property right now and hope they work with me. So yes, I think that they understand that they want, ideally, to have that buyer-broker agreement and how valuable it is. And we need to get very strong at encouraging them and teaching them the skill of just asking for that appointment. Once they can ask for that appointment, I think that getting them in the office in front of them, like you're saying, is probably it's magic. Because then not only have they invested time in you, they've seen you act like a professional, and they're going to treat it like a professional relationship. But if they don't know how to ask in the first place, they're not ever going to get to the point where they can have that conversation.
Absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you that guys, that's one way that you could be a huge partner to your realtors is role play with them. Give them that opportunity to talk to them about how they could position themselves better at that first point of contact, how to communicate effectively to the buyer, what's in it for them. There's a couple of tools and resources that, by the way, guys, I'm keeping kind of a running list of materials that I'm going to send everybody who's an attendee on today's program. We're doing this a little bit off the cuff, a little more free-form, just because we want to be able to be more interactive and work with the realities of the market, and there's always 1,000 things we could throw at you guys here, but there's a couple of key things that I'm going to send you guys that you're going to want to pay attention to that work right off the heels of what Brad and Linda just shared with you. One is the realtor positioning conversation or value proposition conversation. The other is a conversation or script, if you will, talking points that we teach our clients to use in coaching that talks about the value of a realtor to the consumer. Because think about it as a lender, how many times do you want to have to explain the silly FHA gaps in the contract language that have to be included in the contract to 1,800 realtors, right? It's a huge inefficiency for you as a lender. So it's a win-win situation. One, it helps the agent significantly increase their results. And what we're talking about here is being a true running buddy. I'm going to highlight something for you guys because it actually fits perfectly the way this all came together. But long story short, look at these guys, okay? The top performers in any field, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzkys, the Tom Bradys of the world, what do they all have in common? They all had somebody who cared as much about their own success as they did. And in often cases, that's called their coach. Now, it could also be an accountability partner like a best friend or a spouse or a parent, somebody who encouraged them all the way through their career. But long story short is when you become that partner, that running buddy, that person that becomes the person who cares as much about that realtor's success as the realtor does, if not more so, how invaluable do you become to that agent? How irreplaceable do you become to that agent? So let me just share with you a couple of quick tips or tools or ideas that need to be there for you to become an effective accountability partner for your agents. First step is you need to be able to take a look at and broaden your horizons and help them understand where their opportunities for improvement are, and be willing to ask them. I'm not saying slap them in the face and say, Mr. Agent, you're doing a really crappy job at converting your leads. How many opportunities are you missing? They're gonna get ticked off and well, what the heck can you teach me about selling real estate? You're a lender. Well, right? No, but like Brad shared with you, how you present that idea of, hey, would you like or be interested in talking about or brainstorming some of the ideas I heard on a recent webinar? By the way, I'd be happy to share with you the video from that program. And maybe we could look at how we could leverage that together. Second is keeping them focused on steady progress and go. Being that consistent, repeated concept or idea person that brings new thoughts, new ideas, and new strategies to them on a significant basis or a frequent basis. It's just touch points of repetition. So even when you go back to the concept of how do you keep the buyer engaged who's getting disappointed or discouraged, well, Mr. Buyer, at the end of the day, when you and I first talked, you seemed really excited about this whole idea of buying a home, but obviously some things have gotten in the way. Do you mind if we put our heads together and see if we can brainstorm some solutions for those? Now, as a lender, you guys all know there's a lot of things we can do to narrow the gap between what somebody wants and what they think they can afford by making some strategic adjustments to the loan process. By talking to them, for example, about some of the tax deductibility of a mortgage versus the standard maximum 30-year fixed interest rate with no closing costs. What about putting in a couple of discount points into it? Maybe that does work, maybe that doesn't work in a highly tight or highly competitive market. But hey, if it gets them an extra 50 grand in purchase price, maybe there won't be quite as much competition in that 350 price range versus the 300 price range. or maybe it allows them to make a little bit stronger offer instead of having to come in and hope and pray that they're the top of the market by offering 20 or 30,000 over list price. They can make an offer that's 40 or 50,000 over list price. Whether it's smart to do that or not, that's a whole other discussion, but it gives them more advantages. Anyway, but by being that person that holds them to their promises and keeps them going in the right direction. All right, so let's go to one other challenge, Brad and Linda here. The capacity overload, the just feeling of complete overwhelm, chaos, confusion, that kind of stuff, spinning their wheels and chasing rabbits, wasting effort and time, we've kind of addressed already. But let's focus in on the capacity overload and feeling like they're completely maxed out on time. How can I stay focused and effective in a chaotic market environment, being able to seize and recognize the opportunities instead of just wasting time chasing rabbits?
Well, it hasn't been done yet, so we go on to the next question, Eric. No, I'm kidding.
Brad, you turkey.
I just want everybody to feel good for a second. No, I seriously, guys, that's normal, okay? When you are successful, it's going to get a little chaotic. And, you know, Gary Keller, who started Keller Williams, actually said something that made me feel really good about myself once. And it is about building your business and leveraging yourself and building systems. A lot of times when people say leverage your business, they think it means hire somebody. And then what happens is from individual mortgage professional who's starting to get successful, when you just start to get a little too busy and things get a little chaotic, it's usually not enough to be able to hire 30 or 40 or 50, well, really a $50,000 a year assistant to take a lot of stuff off your plate. So what you do is you create some systems that free up your time to get back to the things that matter most, which is bringing in more business. And this is what's crazy. Most people are like, build a system to bring in more business. I'm already crazy. Exactly, because if you set up some systems to free up your time just enough to go get more business, now you get over that hump where now your business pays for your next assistant. And I tell you, coaching mortgage professionals, what I think we kind of get trapped in our own mindset on is, well, my company won't pay for an assistant until I hit a certain volume, and maybe it's a crazy way out there volume. Maybe they don't provide people for you at all. You know what, guys? You are building your own business inside their brand, and if they don't provide you assistant, don't wait around for them to bring them to you. Go build your business and hire your own. If they won't pay for you to go to training, pay for it on yourself and go on your own. I mean, you want them to determine how successful your business gets and how big it gets. You guys are independent contractors, basically. Some of you might be on salary and all that stuff, but you're building a lifestyle for yourself in that company. So here's what I say about that. Look at what systems, what is bogging you down and what is repetitive that you could create a system to make that part go easier. And when you free up that time, go get busier, go convert more leads, go meet another realtor, go get more, make yourself get chaotic. So what Gary Keller said is he said when you're going through the processes of growing your business, you'll hit a ceiling where everything's a little maxed out and you just can't do any more. That's when you start to do something a little different to bring in more business to break through that ceiling. Well, he did say when your life gets chaotic, you actually almost want your life to get a little chaotic because that means you have leveraged the current period you're in right now as far as you possibly can, and now the business is going to pay for you to go to the next level. You bring in your first assistant, you set up a system, everything goes easier for a little while, and then it gets chaotic again. And then you bring in your second assistant, and then it gets chaotic again. And then you bring in a junior loan officer on your team, and then it gets chaotic again. So chaos is okay as long as you're not hanging out there all the time and staying there.
Yeah, you know, I think that you're right. Chaos is a trigger. Chaos is a sign that that something is going right, and it's also a sign that you need to take care of the chaos and organize around that chaos so that you can move on to the next level, just like you're saying, Brad. One of the tools that we always taught at Franklin Covey was the concept of the time matrix, and that is being able to focus on activities that are important but not urgent. See, most of the time we're so focused on what's urgent, what we have to get done right now. It's important and it's urgent, but when we do that, we lose track of the important things that build our business, the important foundational work. It's not necessarily urgent. Because it's not urgent, we push it off, and the busier and more chaotic we get, the more we're forced into that quadrant of handling urgencies, and then we don't spend the time that we need to put the systems and processes in place. You know, I had a great example of that. Yesterday, my lender partner that I've been working with for 10 years lost a easy piece of business, absolutely easy. I was handing him a loan, and he had gotten so busy making phone calls and having appointments that he didn't have a system in place, even with his assistant, to address my call immediately, even though I had called him and said, I need this loan now. And so he lost that business because we had to go with another lender. It was not my choice to go with that lender. But because he didn't have that system in place, he lost that business. We dealt with that. We addressed it. We had a call about it. Because I don't want to work with another lender. I want to work with my lender. I'm loyal to my lender. And so he's hitting that wall right now. He's gotten to that point of chaos. He needs to go to that next level. He's starting to feel kind of scattered and stressed out. So he needs to find a way to put aside the urgencies. Let the fires burn for a little bit so that he can build some better systems in place, so that he's got a bigger, stronger foundation, and he can handle a new level of urgency, if you will. So, yeah, critical to build that in, Brad, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll make one other comment to that, from the lender perspective of that is, guys, we definitely we don't necessarily always have the perfect solution, the perfect opportunity for every situation, and we definitely want to limit or balance between the the immediate urgent and that it could wait a few minutes, but we want to make sure the customer is being taken care of, and that's where having efficient systems in place and taking the time to really talk about, Mr. Realtor, I understand what your expectations are. I would like to know more about what your expectations are for sense of urgency. And what do we do about the emergency situations where you've got a customer who's only there for a matter of days and they need to get qualified immediately, they need to feel like they're moving forward? And how does that change or compare to a buyer who's just kind of barely dipping their toe in the water? And how do we communicate effectively between the two of us which one's the urgent emergency situation and which one's the one that can wait a few minutes? Because, reactivity is the #1 killer of productivity, and so the challenge then becomes, how do we fight the urgent but unimportant and constantly being in that state of chaos and reactivity, especially with the complexity of the stuff we have to deal with on the lending side, the amount of analysis work that we have to do to properly pre-qualify a loan, et cetera, et cetera. So communicating with the realtor and making sure that we take the time to develop that synergy and a system for efficiently transmitting information. Like, for example, one of the things we use frequently is we use an intake questionnaire with our agents, with my agents that I work with as business development partners, even in my own origination practice today. We talk about how that can be used as a tool to get me the information that I need, so that even while I'm in the middle of a consultation with one of Linda's buyers, between the 11 and 12:30, or 11 and 12, I'm in that one-on-one appointment with one of our existing customers. How do I deal with the new lead that pops up at 11:10 for the new buyer that just walked into her office and needs to get a contract written on a house today? Obviously, if we can identify if there's a way to slow that process down and get the client to respond a little more proactively, that's something we can work through. Now, guys, I popped up on the screen one other challenge that we had talked about. I'm going to skip over that challenge really quick. And there's, one of the challenges that I think is, well, Brad, Linda, you guys tell me. Do you want to go with the broken promises and time frame expectations on a deal, or do you want to skip over to the failure to lead and losing by apathy?
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to Eric. If you really truly set up a system where you do a consultation and explain how the process works, you won't be breaking promises. See, they expected something and it didn't happen and nobody let them know. And when you set up a consultation at the front end, even if it's not with the buyer, it's with the realtor, show them the process. I think you'll take care of that process. You'll take care of that one.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's definitely just working out the systems in advance. I mean, Linda, with your own lender, I'm sure if you had worked out a system where, the buyer felt like he was getting the process started efficiently, and had a quick questionnaire that he could fill out, or a web-based application tool to get the loan application process started, and the assistant called you back and said, yeah, I've got him booked for an appointment to meet with Joe Loan Officer at 1:30 this afternoon, and we'll have his pre-approval worked up by the time he gets here, you probably wouldn't have had to go to the second lender, would you?
You know, it was an issue of communication mostly, and so yes, we did talk about how to make that communication happen, even if he's involved with another consultation and he can't talk to me directly. I needed to know something, and our communications just fell apart in the chaos. And so yes, we have addressed that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, the last challenge. All right, in the interest of time, I'm going to move through a couple of quick things with you guys, and there's a few more challenges that likely we will probably try and address via email to everybody who's registered for this program. One of the big things that we concept, and the theme of today's program has been how do we truly become a partner? How do we really develop effective partnerships and leverage that power? A lot of it comes down to recognizing what it is that we all need to grow, stretch, and go beyond where we're currently at. We all know that it's almost impossible to see the forest for the trees when we're in the middle of it. It's so hard sometimes to recognize the challenge. So there was a research study done by Brigham Young University in 1993, and it talked about what is the path of change and what is the likelihood of behavioral change. You know, when a person says that's a good idea, they have a 10% chance of change. I think it's a great idea. I need to do that. You guys have heard some great ideas on today's webinar that you could take out that you could readily turn into, 5, 8, 10 new business development partnerships that could be feeding you a consistent flow of 1 or 2 new deals a month. Imagine 5 new partners worth 1 or 2 deals a month. What does that turn into? That's 10 new loans a month that you've just built in your business off a couple of ideas. But are you going to do anything with it? You know, when a person commits out loud and says, I'll do it, they got a 25% chance. When a person says when they will do it, that's putting time frame, a deadline to it, they've got a 40% chance of change. When a person plans how they're going to do it and how they're going to implement that idea, they've got a 50% chance of change. When that same person commits to somebody else that they're going to do something different, they have a 60% chance of change. And when they set a specific future time to connect with and share progress on it, they have a 95% chance of change. So the idea here is be the partner that creates, that brainstorms ideas, that develops commitments, that outlines strategies and plans, and then agrees to a plan of follow-up. Booking future appointments. So go out, talk to your agents first and foremost about how, my primary goal, Mr. Agent, is not necessarily to earn your referrals, although I'd be an idiot not to accept them, but my primary focus is how I can be a better asset to you in helping you grow your business so that together we can leverage each other's strengths and make a much bigger difference in this market. Kind of a 1 and 1 is 11 type of effect. Doing a lot more than either of us could hope to do separately or independently. And that's really my goal here long term, is to be that business development partner with you. So I'd like to explore that and what we could do to potentially make that happen for you. And that's an area of discussion that we can go into in a much deeper basis. But imagine if you become that true accountability partner to a to a real estate agent. By the way, you don't necessarily have to do this just for real estate agents. Look at anybody else who's in that sphere. Financial planners, CPAs, insurance agents, anybody who connects with people at a time where they're likely to need a change in their housing situation. You've got that same opportunity to be an asset. And watch what can happen. You work with one who develops the growth of 2 more buyers, and those 2 buyers turn into 4, and those 4 turn into 8 and 16, and it explodes literally from there. That's the power of leverage. That's the power of effective partnerships, so we can generate those 120 leads a month, that 8 times results, because we're both totally focused on one committed and effective goal. Now, in the interest of time, you guys have you asked some great questions. There's a few that came up during the course of the conversation that I think have been chatted through. And in the interest of time, I want to get this tight. There's a couple key ideas at the very end of the program that I need to make sure you all have aware of. By the way, you all that are registered or attending today's call, you would have received an email from me just a few minutes ago talking about an upcoming program. If you'd like more information, many of you have been asking questions in the Q&A and chat about how to get more help or more direct support, what coaching looks like, and how to participate. Well, we've developed a new opportunity for you to be able to get a much deeper level of understanding about how to build strategic partnerships, how to double your income with power partners. It's a 6-part interactive web shop series that Brad and Linda are both going to be heavily participating in. It's going to be an interactive style small group radically designed to help you walk through the 6 key steps of developing a power partnership with real estate agents. It is a 6-week program, 60-minute sessions per week, 1 a week, starting on, oh gosh, we'll get to the date and time on this. I didn't get this on the slide. By the way, it'll be starting in mid-June. Linda, do you happen to remember the date we picked for when to start that series? Or Brad? Well, I'll get to that.
Yep, June 1 down at the bottom there. Is that a different date that we want to?
That's actually the registration deadline by June 1. The early bird specials on it is going to be $297. Guys, it works out to like $60 a session. I mean, it's silly how much value there is there. I mean, you're going to get 10 times the results out of, you're going to get 5 times return on your investment if you do 1 loan out of the ideas you implement and get from that program. I believe the session is actually set up to start. Let me look ahead in my slides. I calendared it in.
While you're looking at that, Eric, I just wanted to say that, folks, what we're trying to do is be your accountability partners, be your brainstorming partners, as well as provide you a curriculum so that we're going to take you step by step through some of the things that we've already talked about, but many things that we haven't already, so that you build a system around creating accountability partnerships with your realtors so that you can develop business. In 6 weeks, what we want you to be able to do is add to your business by 2, 3, 4 transactions a month simply by having develop these relationships already within that 6-week period. And of course, once you have those systems in place, you can repeat that. So that's the value of a system, is that it's something that you can repeat over and over once you figured it out. So the growth for you will be exponential after you get that basic process in place. That's our goal out of this 6-week program.
Absolutely. And guys, we're going to walk you through the step-by-step how to do it 1 piece at a time. It is a systemized system that we've developed over the last 8 years with our coaching clients through the research and development work we've done over the years. And like Coach Linda said, it's designed for you to absorb and understand those concepts and then be able to turn them around and be that accountability partner for your real estate agents. By the way, just to sweeten the pot, we've got a couple of bonus offers that are going to come along with this if you go ahead and register today. The first 15 people that sign up for that web shop program, by the way, the date and time, and by the way, even if the date doesn't necessarily work with your schedule, you'll be able to have full access to the materials and the recording. It will start on the 19th of June. It will run consecutive weeks except skipping the holiday week of the 4th of July. We will run at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central for that program. And the first 15 people who grab the registration form or enrollment form out of the email that I just forwarded to you, take 10 seconds, fill it out, and fax it in. The first 15 people are going to also get access to the entire series of the Greg Frost Maximum Influence series, where we went deep on the tools and principles of ethical influence, 1 principle at a time, and how to implement them in your mortgage practice. In addition, we're going to give you access to, for a short period of time, the window of library of resources in our solutions planning-based program, the Power Action Guide, and some of the other tools and materials that are normally held exclusively for our one-on-one coaching program clients. As a special incentive bonus offer. So like I said, if you are ready to get started, the program will commence on the 19th. The regular price for the program would be $397, or you can buy it at $97 per session, on a weekly payment basis. If you're interested, that's kind of silly because you end up way overpaying for it. But the reality is, through June 1st, if you go ahead and register, only $297 is the total investment. And just imagine the kind of email, the kind of return you're going to get on that simple investment. So here's what you do. Go to your email, open up the email you just received from me in the middle of today's webinar, fill out the enrollment form, fax it in, and mark your calendars for the 19th of June is the start of the program, and then watch for the details about how to access coming a little later this week, okay? Otherwise, if you really are serious about taking your business to the next level and you want more than just a one-shot group program, if you really are committed and are willing to look at making an investment in the neighborhood of approximately the commission of 1 loan a month to really take your business to a level where you're producing 3, 5, 8, 10, 20 loans more per month, every month, for the rest of your career, if you're really one of those 1%ers who's serious about taking your business to the next level, and are looking at and have the budget for that kind of investment, we'd love to offer you the opportunity to experience coaching, take advantage of it one-on-one environment, and find out if it's the right fit for you and when it makes sense to get started. There's, of course, no cost or obligation for the session. It is simply the best way we've found to help you identify what one-on-one coaching could really do for you. And that's not for everybody. Like I said, if you are just interested in getting started with the entry-level program, getting things done, the Double Your Income Workshop, web shop series, that's probably a great starting point to get you some major momentum and start building your business for the future and generating massive return on your investment for that simple, easy to access program. All right, beyond that, coming up next, future programs, the Tuesday, June 4th, we are taking a quick break next week because we need I need the week to prepare for the 2 big events in Vegas and Atlantic City that are coming up in early June. So we're going to take a 1-week break from this webinar series. We'll resume our next webinar series on Tuesday, June 4th at June 4th, and it'll be back at the same time and date. And watch for information. We'll be emailing out to our subscriber list here. We will be going through, I'll be going through Mastering First Impressions, the consultation, what to do during that initial buyer consultation that you heard Brad and Linda mention, a little bit about what are the steps of that conversation, what should it look like, and what are the systems and talking points of that, so you're creating maximum value in minimum time with new potential borrowers and really truly mastering that first impression and making the competition relevant. That'll be the topic of the Tuesday, June 4th webinar. Beyond that, you've invested your time to find out about what it takes to develop strategic partnerships with realtors and how to really power up those partnerships. You've heard from 2 of the top agents in the market, the top real estate coaches in the business. What's the power of the ideas that you've heard from today's program if you don't do anything with them? Practical reality is ideas without action are totally useless. So I want to challenge you, you've already invested the time to participate in today's program. Why not do something with it that makes a difference in your business? So think about what was the one most valuable thing you heard Coach Brad and Linda share today. Just pick one. Start with that one first. You can always come back to the recording of this program later. It does take us a couple of days to do the post-production editing, rendering, and stacking and sorting and stuff to get it posted where you can get access to it, but you will eventually have the recording. But pick that one best idea right now that you need to implement immediately. Second, decide what action you need to take to make that idea a part of what you do on a daily basis. Maybe it's going to registering for the Double Your Income web shop. Maybe it's jumping on and asking for one of those strategy sessions. Maybe it's taking one of the ideas that you heard Brad and Linda share about the realtor value proposition, the value of a realtor, and how to help your agents understand the benefits of going more aggressively towards buyer agency and how you can be the resource that helps them do that. Whatever it is, pick the one idea. What's the action you need to take to study, learn, and perfect and refine how to introduce that conversation to your agents so they can get value in you in return? We'll receive referrals. Third element, like we talked about, accountability is the most important element of getting things done. So by when are you going to set the deadline to complete that action, and who are you going to ask to hold you accountable to following through? If there's anything myself, Coach Linda, Coach Brad can do to help you in the implementation of the ideas you've heard today, please don't hesitate to ask or reach out to us. If you'd like to take advantage of one of those one-on-one strategy sessions, you can just go ahead and post that request with the best phone number and email address for us to contact you for scheduling. If you're really serious about taking your business to a whole completely different level and you really would love to talk to Coach Linda or Coach Brad about taking you on as a potential client, whether they have room or not is going to depend a little bit on your situation. Both Coach Brad and Coach Linda are very, very busy. I will tell you they have only a handful of seats open, less than 1 or 2 seats apiece, I believe, is current stats. if you're serious about trying to get one of those seats, then I'm sure they'd be happy to spend some time talking with you. Otherwise, if there's anything else that we can do to help you in the growth of your business, that's what we're here to do. That is our mission, vision. That's our only goal, is helping you get to your goals as fast as humanly possible. So to that end, if there's anything my team or I can do for you in that respect, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. Also, by the way, we are going to be leaving the webinar platform open for just a few more minutes here to post in any additional questions that you'd like addressed. I will make sure that our team gets followed up on those, and that over the next couple of days we get a response out to you with any of those questions you want to go ahead and post in the Q&A. With that final piece, I guess, being said, Coach Linda, final thoughts you'd like to share with our group today?
Yeah, you just remember that action goes in the direction of intention, but that your intentions have to be on the right things. I always tell people that you can intend to win the lottery all day long, but then once you go out and buy a lottery ticket, all that intention won't matter, but you can increase your odds significantly by taking the right action. So actions go the direction of intention. Make sure you have the right intention.
Absolutely. Coach Brad, final thoughts, ideas, suggestions?
I would say don't wait for somebody else to help you grow your business and be successful. Go out and help them grow their businesses and be successful. This is coming from a realtor that coaches the realtors, guys. They don't know how to do it. They have the same exact fears of picking up the phone and returning the calls that you do. So be that person that comes in and changes their lives, because when you change lives, it does come back to you tenfold.
Awesome, 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 guys. All right. Well, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and close out today's program. I want to thank you all and ask that you applaud yourself, although we don't have the opportunity to do a round of applause like we do in a lot of our live workshop events. But encourage all of you to give yourself a big pat on the back for investing your time, and we